Welcome to Brand Me. I'm Preston Konrad, and on this show, we'll talk all things branding, from launching a product line to owning your side hustle. We'll talk to the movers, the shakers, the thought leaders. What do you say we finally stop focusing on brands X, Y, and Z and focus on Brand Me? Let's start the show. Today's episode is brought to you by my brand, Preston Konrad Home. I would love for you to come into my world of luxury home fragrance, responsibly made here in America, all for under $50. We've cut out the big box middlemen, and we are bringing the finest luxury fragrance right into your home. For you guys listening today on the show, you can take 10% off of any single item on PrestonKonradHome.com with the offer code BRANDME. That's PrestonKonradHome.com, offer code Brand Me. Hey, everybody. On today's show, we are dedicating the episode to reinvention and the power of reinventing yourself and your personal brand. And no matter how many times you reinvent, how to anchor yourself by the one thing that no one else has, your name. We get to sit down with Lindsi Lane, who is a dear friend of mine. She is an influencer and the founder and designer of Lindsi Lane, which is a new apparel brand that she just launched. And Lindsi is the pro at personal branding, and her brand has taken many forms before it got to where it is today. So you'll find this information so fun, helpful, and she's just a joy to listen to. So without further ado, here's Lindsi Lane. Lindsi Lane, we're back.
Hello.
We're back. It feels so good to see you, hear you. You're one of those people that we come in and out of each other's lives, and it's like nothing. It's like there's no time at all that's gone by.
Agreed. I love seeing you on social media, but I love seeing you even more IRL right here, right now.
I love it. First of all, how's life? How is mom life? Before we get into all the fun stuff about business, you're a new mom since I've seen you last. I feel like I know your kiddo from Instagram.
Yes, everything's good. You know, it's still really crazy times, unprecedented times. Can't believe we're still in this, but everyone's healthy and happy. And that's,
good.
You know, I'm very grateful for that. So
he's a peanut. Like, I'm obsessed with his style. It's beyond.
I know. Oh my God. He's such a muffin. He's getting so big. He's thriving. He's a happy, filled with personality boy. I mean, well, I wonder where he gets that from.
I was going to say, apple doesn't fall far from the freaking tree, I guess.
I know, but he's amazing. Thank you.
Oh my God, of course. This podcast is so funny. So my last time we talked to you on my podcast was really just kind of a catch-up fun show of friends getting together. And I launched Brand Me as people like you and me and many other people that follow me are like entering a new phase in their life. And maybe they're ready to start a personal brand. And I've been anchoring these episodes in big kind of topics. And I wanted to do one on reinvention and how a personal brand can take many forms. And in thinking about all that you have done, because I know your OG story, I think you are the perfect person for this episode. So before we get into where we are today with your brand and what iterations you've had, how did you get your start in the fashion business to begin with? Do you just like shopping a lot?
No, I mean, I'm a black belt in shopping. So of course I had to, utilize that skill.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, you know my story. And I just want to tell everyone, how long have we known each other? Because this is more than just a podcast. Like, our relationship runs deep.
I mean, it's definitely been over a decade at this point. I mean,
yeah.
if not close to 12 plus years, I would say.
Yeah. You guys, Preston and I recorded a reality TV show together that was supposed to be on Lifetime. So that's how our relationship got started. So it's a really great story. We'll talk about that another time, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anyone that meets on set of any sort of production instantly becomes family. And our casting agents did a good job because they knew that you and I would vibe. And 10 years later, we still are. But so before you even got to that point, how'd you get into the fashion business to start everything?
Yeah. So I've been in the fashion industry for almost 20 years. I really started my career at Barneys New York when I was 21. Oh, rest in peace, Barneys. It just breaks my heart every time. I saw in Sex and the City, she put like Big's ashes into a Barneys bag. I'm like, God, you just really took a double knife right there. Like, what the hell? It was like a twister.
It was
Oh my
brutal.
God, I thought that moment was like gut wrenching. But yeah, I started my career at Barneys when I was 21. And then from 21 to about 23, I was the assistant to two different personal shoppers there. And then I was promoted at 23 to be the youngest personal shopper in Barneys New York history. And I will forever hold that title. So it's very, very special. And I just really, that story it's quite lengthy of how I was actually promoted there. And if I have a book one day, of course, everything will be in there,
Yep.
manifestations.
Yep.
But I was promoted there, built my business from the ground up. And then I was laid off from Barneys with 92 people in the company when they went bankrupt for like the 10th time.
Yep.
And then I took a lot of my clients with me. I started cleaning out their closets and shopping for them on the side. And I still maintained a great relationship with Barneys. So I was in the stylist program with them there. And, as I was doing that, I had a friend who saw that Ford Models was wanting to do an artist division.
Yep.
And they were looking for a by appointment personal stylist. And I went into that story is also crazy and lengthy that has to do with one of my bestest friends. But I ended up going in for an interview and they're like, "Where's your book? We want to see your book." I'm like, "What's that? What's a book?"
What's
and
a
I'm
book?
like, "I style people. Like, I'm not like an editorial, I'm like, I style
Right.
me and you
Right.
and men on Wall Street and like men who want to get chicks. Like, I don't style like models, at
Right.
least yet." So they thought I was, funny and cute and charming. And I just really put myself out there in a way that I never have. And they gave me a chance. They held an entire event for me to see what I could do and the clients that I bring in. And they ended up signing me on the spot. And it was during Fashion Week, September, right around my birthday. And I was signed with Ford for 3.5 years. They were my agents. I was in a double contract there, styling all my other clients, as well as doing lookbooks and editorial work, and built my book. I figured out what a book was,
book
a portfolio, built
Yep.
my book up. Mm-hmm.
When you got laid off from Barneys, it sounds like that entrepreneurial buzz was brewing inside of you because there wasn't a part of you that said, "Let me go get another job, full-time job." You were like, "I'm going to side hustle and I'm going to follow what I think I love the most."
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think I always wanted my own styling company, but I was living under this umbrella of a dream being at Barneys. Here I am, 23 years old with every designer at my fingertips. And I'm literally like a one-woman show. I'm wrapping, I'm fulfilling, I'm pulling, I'm dressing, I'm styling, I'm making the calls, doing the emails. I was everything.
Yep.
So when you have that and you have this dream job, I really didn't see how I was going to do anything else. And actually the man that I was with at the time, he really, really kind of inspired me to do it. He's like, "You can do this." So, I had good people around me and the timing was just right. And actually I was signed with Ford without even a year of my stylist company launch.
Wow.
So it was a quick turnaround,
Yeah.
Developed my LLC and then Ford had brought me on within that year. So everything just moved very quickly. And then when I was with Ford, it was just a great experience. And then after 3.5 years of being there, you and I had casted for the Lifetime show that sadly wasn't picked up. I really loved being in front of the camera. My personality shined, and I think I was always like a natural born entertainer. I was always dancing and singing when I was younger for my family, friends, just everybody. And I started this YouTube channel that's like highly embarrassing.
Wait,
I was like,
did?
"Oh, this thing." Don't Google it.
I want to
telling
find
you.
it. I won't.
No, don't do it. Everyone listening, I'm deleting it now. Okay.
But how
So
funny you were on the
Mm-hmm.
you were on the cusp of sharing yourself in video pre-Instagram.
Yeah, well, actually, Instagram was going on. Like
Right.
this was I've only been doing this for 6 years.
That's crazy.
So blogging's been around for much longer. Like when I was 21, clocking in and out of Barneys every day, actually that's when like the first bloggers were really coming to the surface. So I'm very late to this game. But I ended up doing a lot of video, did my YouTube channel, and then it was just a natural transition. I tried being a style expert on air, had a media trainer and everything. And I just think television, you're the hot man in Access Hollywood, you really carved out a name for yourself. But as you know, it's very
not
hard to
easy. It's not
tap
easy
into that market.
Yeah, and you've got your own network right here of people that are
Exactly.
dying to tune into you every single day. Why? You know what I'm saying?
Well, now I do, but
Yeah.
I really thought TV was my calling, and when it wasn't, I was like, you know what? It's not happening. Like this just, I like going on here and there, but it's not what I dreamed for myself. So I stopped. And then I just gave, being a blogger, digital content creator, influencer, the full-time attention that it deserved. And I've been here and doing this ever since.
It's so impressive how I use this phrase for New York driven guests, but this hitting the pavement ethos, you're very much that girl. In the course of this, your personal brand of Lindsi Lane, you were one of the first people I remember that did a good job and was very bold about branding themselves as a brand. I'm talking logo, name, referring to themselves as my brand. And was that Lindsi in the Fast Lane? Was that the first kind of iteration of your personal brand?
I love that you just said that because I love that you just said that because I took, I wanted you to send me some questions so I didn't come in totally blind.
Yep.
And I wrote about Lindsi in the Fast Lane just so I have notes in front of me. And I did say it was, when I was Lindsi in the first of all, I think I was raised to just protect your name. I think a name is very important. You have one name and I just see so much value. I want people to be like, oh, that's Lindsi Lane, not, oh, that's, and I was Lindsi in the Fast Lane, but it was oh, Lindsi Lane or Lindsi in the Fast Lane. But my name was still in it. But, I think I see so much value in people speaking of your name. So when I was Lindsi in the Fast Lane and I switched over to So Lindsi, that was really when I came into the personality of who I really am, because Lindsi in the Fast Lane was a online magazine for girls on the go. But really, SL was everything I am. It was my personal brand, and I never looked back. So, it's funny. I noticed a lot of girls switched over their Instagram handles to their names within the past 2 years, but I was always Lindsi Lane style. And I think everyone's different. I also see value in having a catchy name too. I see it working for everything, working for I see it working for whatever anyone wants to do. But for me, I just really believe in your name and people saying your name and getting on people's radar.
How did you, because I really looked to you a lot in when I started kind of branding before I had a logo for my name made, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those people who's like, why would I have a logo? It's just my name. And I'm like, well, I guess it's my brand. How did you kind of carve out what the ethos was? How'd you separate Lindsi as Lindsi physical human from Lindsi Lane, So Lindsi, and from Lindsi in the Fast Lane? Were there any confusion there for you, or did you find it so easy to do that?
Well, Lindsi in the Fast Lane it really wasn't about me.
Right.
And my brand now, I'm the personality behind this Instagram account, but for me, my Instagram is about my followers and my community. Yeah. I'm the face of my community. Yep. But it's really about my girls. So, and my guys, but when I was Lindsi in the Fast Lane, I pivoted out of that because I had this wake up call that I really needed to show my personality more. My friends are like, you're so funny. You have to show who you are. You don't show who you are. Mind you, this was before stories existed, before a lot more things were around, before TikTok, even though I don't go on TikTok really that much right now. But do you know what I'm saying? These were before their platforms. 100%. So it's hard for people to get to know who you are only through a photo and a square photo with that. This was before portrait. This was before a 16:9. This was you know what I mean? You're only in a square. So I was just you know what, you're right. And then So Lindsi was, again, speaking to your reinventing of someone. Yep. It was this reinvention of who I was, but really it was just me all along. And I really just had to be myself. And even now, there are things, of course, that I don't share. And I think my community respects me for that. They know also when something's wrong. Yep. They'll be like, where have you been? Or your energy's off. It's crazy how well people have gotten to know me.
It's so authentic, the connection. I know you were really authentic during your birth story, during COVID. You were very personal about how you were feeling about certain things. And I think that really brings people into your brand in a way that they don't get when they go to store A, B, and C on Fifth. They just don't,
Oh, absolutely. And, it's a very saturated market. You and I have spoken about this on our last podcast and just as friends, via DM. But I think it's just being yourself and being authentic to who you are is what attracts your tribe.
Yep.
And I wrote this to someone just the other day. Like, if you are authentic to yourself, that attracts the people that you want to follow you. And that might not be quantity followers in the beginning, but at least they're quality followers.
You've yet reinvented your brand again in the most impressive way, and you've launched your product line. You've launched a clothing collection, which is it's called Lindsi Lane, right? Is that right?
It's Lindsi Lane. Yeah, it's Lindsi Lane.
I was wondering, by the way, when you were going to frickin' do something that's just first name, last name, product, because I was like, it's coming, and there's always been a cute name to go with it, but I was like, when's she going to put the name forward? How did that come about? Was that always on the vision board? What's that been like?
Okay, so first of all, this is like the scariest, craziest, most mind-blowing thing I've ever done in my life, and I just have a whole newfound respect for anyone that owns a separate brand outside of doing the influencer job, because first of all, like, being an influencer is literally 24/7. And then I'm like, hey, I'm going to start a clothing line and I'm going to be a one-woman show with my assistant. Yeah. Like, hardest thing I've ever done. So it's not always like rainbows and cookies and butterflies. It's really, really hard. And I've made a lot of sacrifices. So let me just put it out there. Like, it's very hard, very hard.
It's really launching a product line and a brand to people that have followed you for a long time. There's the pressure of that. You're like, is this good enough for them? Because it's not like they're strangers that walk into Barneys. You know, they know you. And then the pressure of actually doing a brand is beyond.
And you have to convert your followers into consumers of your new brand. You know, I convert very well through my stories with other things that I post, but now am I going to be able to sell my own line? And of course, you have experience with this, doing all of your brands, because you are incredible. You have your candles, and like, you really like crush it.
Do you feel, thank you, by the way, because, and I feel like we're very much on the same path there, but you know what's funny? I often have, and I still to this day, like, we're about to do a new drop and I'm about to do some posts about it. I still panic that my followers think, all I'm doing is promoting my product too much, and they just want to see like swipe ups for fucking hairspray. Like, do you feel that weird balance, or do you think they know that that it's your company and they expect it?
Yeah, I think so. But also my launches, and like, we'll get more into Lindsi Lane, because I'm sorry I didn't answer your question. I took it into a different realm, but
I like it. I love it.
Okay. But I think people, listen, it's my brand, and I'm not launching a new drop every week.
Right.
So there's big breaks in between. And also, I was experiencing like so many COVID delays, like so many other people. And I was going through so much stress behind the scenes. You have actually no idea.
Right.
So, you know, it's not like I was just launching another collection. Like, I'm actually launching that. I am a designer, and this is what it is. It's a whole other brand. And the stress that came with that, and all of these delays and letting people down, it was debilitating sometimes, because I was like, what are people going to think? What are people going to think? And in the end, it's really, no one's thinking like that. Like, I'm just dissecting every second.
Just so you know, no one thinks the way we think.
Nobody.
Like, the catastrophic things that we think they're thinking about us, they don't think that.
They don't. So to answer your question, yes, I think the natural transition for me was always to have my own clothing line. It scared the living fuck out of me that I was ever going to do this. But when COVID hit, I turned to Lucy, my assistant at the time, who I still love.
By the way, I was at the outlets driving home from my house the other day upstate, and I posted, I'm like, I'm going to go to the should I go to the outlets? I did a poll. Lucy DM'd me. We've never met, really.
You did.
The podcast.
Yes.
Okay. But we chat. We know each other more digitally. She's like, I'm here with my mom. If you come, let me know. So I ended up going for 2 seconds, and I didn't let her know. And it was just so cute, but
that's so sweet. Yeah. She's wonderful. She's still very much part of my life, but I said to her, Lucy, I had this idea for a clothing line. I'm like, I'm doing it. Like, when else am I going to have time to just sit at home doing nothing and really tackling this? Because we all make excuses. It's never a good time. It's always a bad time. It's like, there's, it's either you do it or you don't. I'm like, it's time.
Yep.
I proved myself, to those around me. Yep. I can convert very well. Let's take this to the next level. So I did. I worked almost a year on building it out. And like I said, so much stress, so much excitement. And I have to admit, and if I'm going to be very vulnerable here, I've always been very confident. I'm extremely confident, not cocky, just confident. Yep. I know who I am. I know what I want to share. And this is the scariest, most like confidence decreasing thing I've ever done. And I know from my photos, I look like this like badass bitch. I'm like rocking it hard, but I'm so scared. Like I'm so scared. And, you know, I'm confident. I'm confident of it, of course, but it's like the way that I feel because I'm so scared because my name's on the product. I designed it. I did everything. I'm branding. I'm marketing. I'm doing everything for it. It's just, it runs so much deeper than just like posting a link to a lip gloss, you know?
100%. And that fear is something that if you weren't experiencing, I think we'd have to get a temperature check. I do the same thing. I do the same thing here.
Yeah.
I mean, in the way that you've reinvented yourself and your brands in this almost like portfolio of the Lindsi orbit, like over the course of time, what kind of tips like could you give to someone, whether they're looking, because what you do really well is you identify these brands, whether it's logos, Jiffy stickers, filters, like what kind of advice could you give to someone to start branding themselves as a person like you did?
So I also see, and also going back to what you said, like with the logo of my clothing line, I didn't know if it was going to be a name, like something by Lindsi Lane or just Lindsi Lane. But I'm like, you know what? Like I am Lindsi Lane. In all my friends' phones, I'm still Lindsi Lane. I'm Lane forever. That's just, people know me as that. And I was like, I preach the value of a name, you know, and people saying someone's name for so long and you get one and you should be really proud of it. And I'm like, how can I call this anything else? And I did have other great names, but there was maybe one day, you know, it will be like maybe a diffusion line or something else that can come with that. Like once the name is a lot more established. But right now I think it's really important for people still to see it. And listen, there's a reason why all these designers are their names. You know, you have to take notes from the people that are role models to you. And especially coming out as a first-time designer, I just really see a lot of value in it. But like I said, if someone doesn't do that, I also think that's great. It's just whatever, you know, it's my personal opinion. So I just decided on Lindsi Lane naturally. And then going into a logo, I personally just think like the first thing is the logo. Like you need to, how does this make people feel when they look at it? When I did Lindsi Lane Actually, I did the logo Lindsi Lane with Cece, who did my wedding invitation. She is like the most incredible just illustrator, painter. Like she's wild. I love her and she's become a friend.
This is a part a lot of people get hung up on is maybe they're ready. They don't know where it's like a logo. Is it an object? Is it my name? Is it a writing? Is it what? So this is a really interesting story that it's a friend that's an illustrator.
Yeah. So we went through an entire process. I sent her a lot of inspiration from other brands that I liked, but I was like, these are other brands that I like, and I want them to be nothing like this at the same time.
Totally.
So we need to take whatever this is apart 50 times. And let me tell you, we did take
I don't
apart
doubt it.
a logo 50 times. If you look at my logo, it's extremely like it's connected, it's artistic, it's elevated. Yep. And I also think it's important to have an emblem, like some sort of logo, like my two L's are connected through a heart and just nothing is like it. And I think that shows, you know, infinite love and community. And it's also two L's, Lindsi Lane. So, and that's great to use for tissue paper, stationery. You know, you have to front these fees in the beginning so that you just have them because you want to grow your brand. Like you're not starting a brand just to start one and be like a one-hit wonder, bye-bye, right? You
100%.
You want to be here to stay and you want to grow and you want to evolve. But if you love your logo and you love, let's say, like your emblem, right? You can really use those things for different things. Like I want to create emblem clothing one day. Like I know exactly what I want to do, you know? So you just, it's better to invest up front. And see where it takes you. Cause I'm inspired by looking at both things. I'm inspired by looking at my logo and also my emblem. Cause there's so many things I want to do with both.
It's so funny you say that. Like when I finally coughed it up to hire a designer who I knew of through a friend who was amazing to do my full logo suite, a bunch of emblems in different colors and a bunch of the same logo in different colors. I was like, I'm never going to fucking use all these things. But now it's like we just ordered, you know, for our retail store, we just ordered some stickers and we used one that I'd never used before. It was like the black version. I'm like, oh my God, wait, our bags are black. This is perfect that he made me a black. So it's like pay for it up front, get the arsenal of stuff, put it in your kit, and you'll use it when you use it for your brand.
Exactly. And listen, seeing those numbers like that I've invested in 2021 are scary. You know, I'm just like, oh God. But, you know, those aren't like trailing numbers. You know, you invest up front and then you hopefully have those materials to last a long time until you want to evolve again and change. And I also think that's fine. I have evolved, like you said, so many times, and I don't feel any like insecurities about that. In fact, I'm so proud of my evolution. I'm so proud to be able to grow.
That's why I wanted you on this episode.
Without any stress.
Because I just feel like you are not afraid to be like, okay, this chapter was great. We're going to put a pin in that chapter. Better chapter coming. This chapter is named this, and this is what we're doing today. This is the assignment. And so
absolutely. Yeah. And you need to be okay. Like for me, and I've said this before, a huge form of success is asking for help.
Yep.
You know, figuring out and one of your questions was, you know, what is your greatest branding failure that you now realize is one of your biggest blessings? I ask the question
of everyone, and I love hearing it. What is yours?
And I was going to say, like, I truly don't think there really is such a thing as failure in business. Like, I truly don't. If something teaches you a lesson, if you grow from it, and if it brings you future value, that to me is a success. Yeah. So, I mean, truthfully, yes, have I been through a lot of hardships? Yes, definitely with business. But do I look back and I'm like, oh my God, if I wouldn't have known this now, if I didn't go through that experience, I wouldn't have grown. I wouldn't have this value. I wouldn't bring all that value into my business now. So it's really not. I mean, there's no failures. We're all so hard on ourselves. And we put so much pressure on ourselves to be this certain thing, but no one's like over our head telling us to be that person. Like we are the only ones that are standing in our way.
A lot of it comes from, I think, because of social media and the following that you have or that a person has. I think there's a lot of inherent pressure there too, that you're just like terrified to disappoint.
Oh my God, absolutely.
By the way, I think you mentioned this. Did you find that a lot of your followers became your customers of your brand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yes, of course. And I also, starting a new Instagram profile too.
When you started that, I died. I was like, I'm going to just give her the keys to my house because the thought of running a new account makes me want to jump out this window.
Yeah. It's so, it was scary and hard, but to be honest, I'm like, wow, this is a really nice following. And these are the people that are the diehards. And of course, I can only do the outreach that is of my community right now.
Right.
So imagine what I can, and I know what I did with that. So imagine what I can do when, we really start expanding and the name starts to grow. So you have to start somewhere. And I'm very, very proud of the success of Lindsi Lane thus far. And we have like so many amazing things to come.
The video content you do is insane. That was mental. I remember it was
I'll put you in touch with them.
It was so good. I was like, I shared, because Mia, the girl, a friend of mine who you know from growing up, her and I think sent it to each other at the same moment. We were like, holy shit.
Well, you know me, like I'm very picky with the branding of certain launches and how that gets marketed. Yeah. So, for example, when I launched my jewelry capsule with Louise Alexander, it's always important to me to launch with a launch video because you're making, the followers and consumers feel a certain way. Like you want them to be pumped up, you want them to be excited. And I am extremely picky with specific moments hitting a beat. Like if I could be a video editor, I'd be so damn good at it because I'm just so picky. Like I switched it a million times, this, that. I have a vision with the Lindsi Lane video when there was noise around me. And I was like, like that was completely my vision. Like I pictured noise, and then just, muting the noise and just going for your dream. And that is what I told Amanda and Jason, my videographers. I will put you in touch with them. But they've done everything for me. They did my gender reveal, my hanky-panky shoot. They did, they didn't do Louisa, but they did Lindsi Lane. They did, Amanda was at my wedding with me. Like they do so much for me and I love that.
It's so funny. One of the things I don't know if we're going to have time, but you just kind of touched on it is consistency, like tips on staying consistent when you do have a couple different pots on the stove in your personal brand. That's an easy way to stay consistent. Like the crews you use, the people that you bring into your orbit. Sounds like your videographer is the same and that kind of any other tips to staying consistent across different points of your personal brand? Because that's a really good one that you may not even realize it. You're like, holy shit, that's my brand team.
I'm a very loyal person.
Yeah.
I'm a very loyal person to people, and I'm a very loyal person to brands.
Yeah.
If I buy your brand and I like a lip gloss, like I will buy your entire collection. And if someone it has great energy and we work together well business wise, like I will continue to hire you, work with you, collab with you. I just like to keep it in the family, and I like to keep it tight. Yeah. And also these people have kept my secrets, right? They've really, kept it tight and helped me launch. And they're just as excited as I am about all of my launches, endeavors. So I think keeping positive people around you that are natural born creators is so important.
What, in all of the iterations of your personal brand and your now new business, is there a moment in your branding journey that lives rent-free in your head that it was just like either hysterical or depressing, or that you just like are so fond of?
Oh my God, there's so many moments. I did write one down. We kind of tapped into it, but now that you're saying this, I'm like, oh my God, it could be so much better than that. I think that a really pivotal moment in my career, well, aside from, first of all the capsules that I've done, doing Hanky Panky, Kit Baby, Louisa, there's more to come.
Those collaborations are nice for you because you can kind of like see what your customer wants. You can get your toe wet and see what you want to do. That's cool.
Yeah, it's true. It's great. I think so. Like those are big pivotal moments because, to get those collabs is very hard. Not like every influence, like it's very hard to be like, okay, let's do this major capsule together. So all my capsules are very proud moments, but I think going back to the good old days, it's really when I went from LITFL, Lindsay in the Fast Lane, to So Lindsay, because it's who I am now. Taking that leap of faith and stepping into my online personality was what changed my brand. And I'm still that person. So it was a leap of faith. Like I said, I came in late, but I didn't let the fact that I came in late, and I say late because anyone could start today, but for me and like the girls around my age, I was later to the game. So I think I really stepped into my online personality, and I never looked back.
I'm so happy you came on this show. I'm so happy for you. What's next before I run out of time with you? What's next for Lindsi Lane, the brand?
So collection 2 is in the works. It's a completely new collection. So Lindsi Lane Designer that's coming up. And then Lindsi Lane, the influencer. There's just so many cool things brewing right now that I honestly can't even talk about because the ink is drying. And I'm just excited. We'll see what a new year brings.
How can everybody find you on all the things?
Sure. So you can follow me at Instagram at Lindsi Lane Style, Lindsay with an I. Get it right, honey.
Yes, honey.
And then lindsilane.com is my clothing, and Lindsi Lane blog is my blog.
Linds, keep hustling for all of us because you are like the female version of me, and I just love what you do.
Thank you. I don't know how to be any other way, but it's an exciting time, and I thank you so much for having me on. I'm so proud of you. I just want to put that out there. So I want everyone listening to go follow Preston because he is iconic, a legend, and a natural born hustler. So.
I literally just I love watching your Instagram. I bought the, what is it? I bought the collagen stuff.
I love the collagen. I drink it.
I am like, if it's not nailed to the floor and you're talking about it, I'll buy it.
I love you.
So thank you again. And say hi to that beautiful family of yours. Bye, babe. For more on the show, you can find us on Instagram at Brand Me Podcast or at Preston Konrad. Be sure, of course, to rate, review, and subscribe and share on social. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.